Welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It's Wednesday, August 6th. The Pittsburgh Steelers have training camp practice number 12 at St. Vincent College today. We'll be back out there a little bit later this afternoon. Let's talk about yesterday's big news, though, that came in the evening. An injury to quarterback Will Howard will cost him at least the 2025 preseason and maybe more. Howard was injured at practice on Tuesday when he jammed his finger. It was originally reported by head coach Mike Tomlin that it happened during the quarterback center exchange. I actually looked at some photos from our phenomenal photographer, Ed Thompson. It looks like it may have actually happened on a handoff. Either way, it's the pinky on his right throwing hand, and he is expected to be out for 3 weeks. That's the entirety of the preseason. Could be out even longer than that. We will see. The pinky, not the world's most impactful finger in terms of a throwing motion. So of all of the possible hand injuries that involve a broken bone, probably the easiest to deal with for Will Howard. But I think still in many ways a disappointing injury. Let's talk about how we think this will impact the Steelers. Obviously, it's going to change their plans for the distribution of reps this preseason. I think playing a lot of Will Howard was going to be a part of their plan here. I mean, Aaron Rodgers doesn't need the reps. Mason Rudolph doesn't really either. I mean, they'll probably want to get him some out there, but, maybe a half and then another quarter, something like a quarter and a half, something like that. So I think for this Saturday night in Jacksonville, like I said, we might see like Mason Rudolph for a quarter and then 3 quarters of Skylar Thompson just because there isn't anybody else. I do expect they will sign another quarterback so they can get through the rest of training camp with 3 healthy throwers. It's almost essential in terms of being able to run all the drills they're doing, all the one-on-ones, everything like that, while also at the same time trying to take care of Aaron Rodgers' arm and not put a whole lot of miles on it. So I do expect them to bring in a quarterback probably as early as today, if they're able to get one, that they kind of had on speed dial. If they have to maybe have some tryouts or something like that, it might take until next week. But sooner rather than later, I expect a quarterback to be added to the Steelers training camp roster, and that player will get a decent opportunity. They're going to play a lot. I don't think there's any other way around it. But so, yeah, I expect this Saturday to see Mason Rudolph for about a quarter, Skylar Thompson for about 3 quarters. If we see Aaron Rodgers, which I'm not 100% sure, I think actually probably won't. But if we do, it'll be one drive. That'll be about it. My guess is the rest of the team's veteran sort of starters, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey are not going to play in this first preseason game. We'll see how much they do going forward. If there is a game where they play the most, it would probably be that second preseason game at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week. So there's that. Then there's kind of the big picture, right? I mean, I think Howard has already shown enough for me that even with this injury, I'd feel confident with him as the team's number 3 quarterback this season. I don't think it's going to detract from his ability to win that role. I feel like he's already won it, to be honest. I feel like he's demonstratively cleared Skylar Thompson on the depth chart. He's won that job. Now, what happens going forward? I don't think this really changes any of the plans for the Pittsburgh Steelers other than, they don't really get to gauge where Will Howard is in game competition this year, which will be disappointing for them, but it's not really that big of a deal. They weren't in a place where they were going to need to have to make a decision about Will Howard anytime soon. The plan was all along for him to be the 3rd quarterback this year and to hopefully not have to play. So while, in the regular season, so while losing the preseason will probably hurt his development, I don't think it really impacts much from a team perspective, a team standpoint. This 4th quarterback that they bring in, 5th quarterback, I should say, that they bring in, maybe we'll have a chance to stick around in the practice squad, or Skylar Thompson could stick around in the practice squad. I didn't put a quarterback on the practice squad in my last 53-man projection, but Will Howard, with being this injury, maybe they would want to do that, even if he is healthy enough to be on the roster for the start of the regular season. If this does bleed into the regular season is 5 weeks away as we sit here right now. He would be an option to go on the IR designated for return. He would have to miss at least the first 4 weeks of the season if that happened. They could also just put him on the season-ending IR and just call it a stash. Stick him there and leave him there. I don't think Will Howard at 24 is like a player they're looking to give a redshirt year to. I can see the Cleveland Browns doing that with Shedeur Sanders if he gets hurt. That a player needs like a lot of development. Someone like JJ Galbraith, for example, like who pretty clearly needs to like add some weight to compete at this level physically. Like somebody like that, this team's actually like looking for a reason to put him on the IR and stash him away for a season. I think the Steelers would probably prefer Will Howard be active and available to them as their third string quarterback. So I doubt they're going to put him on the season-ending IR, although those are the only two options. And there are only two of those IR return slots. So you got Calvin Austin dealing with an injury right now, Alex Highsmith dealing with an injury right now, Calvin Anderson dealing with an injury right now. You can only put so many of those guys on the IR and bring them back. Now you can't just put them on the 53 if you think they're going to be healthy in short order. I don't see any way that this causes Will Howard to be waived or anything like that. I think he will continue to be a part of the team for this season beyond. I think the Steelers' plan with Will Howard was always that they feel like they have a potential quality backup in him, with maybe a little bit of hope that he could be someday something more than that. But I never got the sense they were in any rush to find that out. And so, like, in terms of the big picture, the plan was always to draft a quarterback next year. Will Howard playing this preseason had no opportunity to change that plan, nor will him not playing in the preseason have any opportunity to change that plan. That is just what they're doing. That doesn't mean that I think there's no chance that Will Howard becomes a starting quarterback at the NFL level, but it is bad business to pin your franchise's hopes and dreams on tiny chances like a 6th round pick working out. They need to go draft a quarterback in the first round. They probably need to trade up to do it. All of their actions this offseason say that is exactly what they are going to do, no matter what happens in 2025. That's all I got for this one. I mean, kind of quick, but I feel like we covered it a little bit with me and Smitty yesterday. No real changes after this update to the big picture plan. We did learn that he is going to miss the preseason. They probably will sign somebody else. We'll see who that is coming up shortly, and maybe we'll dig into who and why when that happens. Me, Smitty, afternoon drive, 6 o'clock, right after training camp practice from St. Vincent College. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel so you don't miss Morning Rush, Afternoon Drive, Sights and Sounds, practice reports, all the stuff we got going on here on the YouTube channel. Until next time, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and enjoy.